The invitation said birthday dinner. But the house smelled like a wedding hall: overcooked rice, stacked plates, voices layered so thick they pressed against the walls. My mother had borrowed chairs from 3 neighbors. My father stood near the doorway, shaking hands like a host closing a deal. 100 relatives moved through the rooms. People I saw once every few years. All smiling in the vague way you smile when you're not sure why you've been invited. But declining would have been noticed. I kept thinking there had been a mistake. Birthdays in our family were small. Cake tea, 5 people at most. This felt like something else, wearing the costume of a celebration. When I asked my mother why so many people were here, she smoothed the tablecloth and said, "It's good for family to gather. Don't overthink it." That was her favorite phrase. Don't overthink it. It usually meant I was thinking exactly the right amount. Dinner began late. By the time everyone had food, the room had settled into a low, satisfied murmur. My father tapped a spoon against his glass. It was gentle, polite. He smiled as if he were about to make a toast. He didn't say my name at first. He talked about sacrifice, about responsibility, about how parents invest without guarantee of return. Heads nodded. Someone laughed softly at a joke that wasn't quite a joke. Then he looked at me. "This gathering," he said, "wasn't only for celebration." The air shifted. It wasn't dramatic. It was administrative, like a meeting moving to the next agenda item. He explained calmly that I had failed to meet expectations. That my choices reflected poorly. That continuing a relationship would no longer be productive. He said it the way people say a contract is ending. My mother placed an envelope in front of me. Thick. My name written neatly on the front. Inside, my father continued, "is a detailed account of what we've spent raising you. Education, housing, food. Every cent we wasted." The word wasted landed softly. That was what made it worse. "You can repay it," he said, "or you can consider this the end. If you choose not to pay, do not contact us again." No one spoke. Forks paused mid-air. I could feel the heat in my face, but my body stayed strangely still. Somewhere behind me, a child asked for more soda and was hushed. Before I could even process the envelope, my sister reached across the table. She picked up my car keys. The sound of metal against wood was loud in the quiet. "Dad already transferred the title," she said, not looking at me. "It's in my name now." She placed the keys beside her plate and kept eating. That was the moment something in me went quiet. Not numb, just resolved. There was nothing to argue against. This wasn't anger, it was procedure. I didn't open the envelope. I didn't ask questions. I stood, nodded once, more reflex than intention, and walked out. No one stopped me. That might have been the point. The next 4 days felt unreal in the way long flights feel unreal. I stayed with a coworker who didn't ask many questions. I borrowed rides. I focused on small tasks: showering, replying to emails, eating whatever was easiest. The humiliation replayed itself when I wasn't busy. Not the words exactly, but the posture of the room. The way so many eyes had accepted the framing without hesitation. On the 4th day the calls started. At first it was my mother. Then my sister. Missed calls stacked into neat rows on my screen. Voicemails I didn't listen to. Messages that said things like "we need to talk" and "this has gone too far." I didn't block them. I just didn't respond. There's a difference between silence as avoidance and silence as boundary. It took me a while to feel it. What surprised me most was how quickly their certainty unraveled once I was no longer present to absorb it. Control needs an audience. Without one, it turns frantic. On the 6th day, I took the envelope to a legal clinic during my lunch break. I didn't go in angry. I went in curious. The woman who looked through the documents was efficient, kind without being warm. She asked a few questions. She made copies. "This isn't enforceable," she said eventually. "Parents can't invoice adult children for upbringing. And the car transfer, do you have any written consent?" I shook my head. She smiled faintly. "Then that's also a problem, for them." She explained my options. None involved confrontation. Just filing, notices, waiting. Authority didn't arrive with raised voices or dramatic ultimatums. It arrived in letterhead and deadlines. 2 weeks later, my father called again. This time, his voice message was different. Shorter, controlled but strained. "There's been some confusion," he said. "We should resolve this privately." I didn't return the call. I let the notices do their work. The car was returned through a process so boring it felt anticlimactic. No apologies came with it. Just keys left with a receptionist. A name misspelled on the form. The call slowed, then stopped. Sometimes people ask if it hurt. That question assumes hurt is a single event. What I felt was erosion. A slow understanding that love in that house had always been conditional. It just hadn't been itemized before. I didn't win anything. There was no moment where they admitted wrongdoing. No scene where I stood taller while they shrank. What changed was quieter. I stopped rehearsing explanations in my head. I stopped checking my phone reflexively. I learned that dignity doesn't announce itself. It accumulates through small, unglamorous choices, like not opening envelope meant to define your worth. On my next birthday, I bought myself a slice of cake from a bakery near work. I ate it alone standing at the counter. It wasn't sad. It wasn't triumphant, it was just mine. And for the first time, that felt enough.